Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is all in the charts. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment, click the bell icon for notifications so that you know when I go live. So I am going to apologize in advance because I was supposed to have an Instacart order that was to be delivered earlier, and it didn't get here. It's running late, so at some point, there's going to be an odd little intermission, and the Instacart person will be here, and I'm going to grab my food. So, sorry about that. I hope everyone's having a good day. Not too much going on in the charts today, nothing super exciting. We'll kind of go down the list and see what might be interesting to take a look at beyond Bitcoin. You know, I did not have an opportunity before the live stream to get some charts together like I was hoping for. So what I had actually done, and let's see if anyone has recently replied. No. So what I had recently done, engagement today was not at the highest of levels. I had tweeted out and said, hey, is there anything you guys want me to chart? And I didn't get anything on that. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to take a look at Bitcoin, kind of assess where we're at in relationship since yesterday. And the other thing that I will do is kind of go through watch lists here, and we'll see if there's anything really moving strongly to the upside or the downside that's worth mentioning. So in terms of since developments from yesterday, we were talking about this 12-hour chart. We routinely look at the 12-hour chart on Bitcoin. There's nothing really materially to update here. There's a couple different ways you can draw this descending line. What's up, Wasi? There's a couple ways you can draw this descending line. Certainly not convinced at this point that it was breaking out, but we'll have to see if we wick somewhere. This is a 12-hour, again, chart, so that each two candlesticks represents one day, right? We're on the last half end of this day here. Candlestick is going to close at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if we can get a close somewhere around, $2,900, 29, we would be in trouble if Bitcoin was at $2,900. Son of a bitch. No, $29,000. That would preserve at least the way I have this drawn. But more importantly, what you want to keep in mind here, looking at this chart and what you want to look for next, the 20, which is the orange, is set to cross the 50, which is the purple. We need those smaller moving averages to be above the higher moving averages. That's what's bullish. So we need this 20 to get above the 50. Everybody, I am not seeing the thumbs up coming in. Where is John the Enforcer? John has not been back in a long time. Crush the thumbs up. YC. Wouldn't it be ironic if the narrative to cause crypto to go up is more bank failures? Yes, well, that is going to be a narrative, in my opinion. We can spend a moment talking about that, but it's certainly going to be a story for both equities and stock, equities and crypto. The other interesting thing I was looking at on the 12-hour today, and the minimal amount of time I actually had to do any charting, I was looking at the fact that, I'm comparing the current moment in time not to that of 2019. Thank you, YC. Not to that of 2019, like a lot of other people are comparing it to. The current point in time that I'm comparing us to is sort of back in this area in late September of 2020, before we started really making that impulse up in Bitcoin, broke all-time highs, and altcoins went crazy, okay? That's kind of where I'm assessing that we're at. Now, one of the things I'm watching for, okay, and history does not need to repeat, but it often likes to rhyme, as they always say, okay? One of the things that we saw the last time the 20 had crossed below the 50, okay? Once we got a cross back above it and price sustained itself above both the 50 and the 20, it sort of rode this orange line for a long period of time. You can see we had some dips ultimately below the 50 simple moving average. But this is really what it means to start to go parabolic, right? So something I'm kind of watching for over here, just as a little tidbit of information, if you want to pull up a 12-hour chart on TradingView. Will we begin, if I'm correct in my assertion, my assertion, my inference. I like to use nice big words on this channel. I'm also teaching everyone vocabulary. No, but one of the things I'm going to be watching for that you can kind of peek at from the 12-hour chart here is if we really are at a similar point in time as September of 2020, late September of 2020, well, then we would expect something similar here. I mean, price, I keep saying this, jumping ahead, but I want the 20 to cross above the 50, and we really should see something where the price is just kind of riding that line up. Again, jumping to my next point here, I've been saying for a while now, guys, you can't expect price, okay, on Bitcoin to come all the way up to this circle right here, okay? You can't expect it to hit that circle by doing this the entire time, right? I mean, consolidation is good. We want consolidation, and I've been one that has encouraged everyone to think about this concept, which is you don't want the parabola, the Bitcoin price parabola, to start too soon. Because if the parabola starts sooner rather than later, it's going to get exhausted at a lower price point, right? The more that we can do this sort of action right now, I'm okay with. But at some point, we really need to skyrocket up, okay? And quite frankly, you know, I spoke about my tweet from, I think it was yesterday. I had pointed out the margins of deviation or margins of error in my estimates that I'm attributing to both price and time. Quite honestly, part of me hopes I am wrong. And Bitcoin doesn't top this year. It tops maybe in the first half of 2024, because the thing I realize is, well, my main hypothesis would be incorrect, and the all-time high was created 3, 4, 5 months later than what I had stated. That additional time will increase the likelihood that we will hit a higher price level on Bitcoin. So I hope all of that makes sense. But yeah, so at some point, the 12-hour needs to start looking like the way it did towards the fourth quarter of 2020 if we're really going to see some sort of similar trajectory in price, right? Again, I think I put a range out there on Twitter that I spoke to, which is, you know, the range I'm looking at Bitcoin could theoretically hit anywhere between $110,000 per coin to $180,000 per coin. Now, that's a blow off top. I also put a 30% margin in that estimate. I mean, there's so much volatility, so many different fib extensions you can look at and ways you can evaluate where it's going to go. But as soon as we get a blue sky breakout, it's anyone's educated guess, and we have limited price data to derive some sort of meaningful estimate, okay? Bitcoin. Was there anything else I wanted to speak to on Bitcoin? No, but real quick, as I'm kind of getting into some more charts here, and we can spend some time talking about whatever charts you guys have. Plenty of time for Q&A today, since I haven't formally put any charts together. I did want to get to YC's point, and this is something that I think for people who are following closely, I know on this channel we keep it to the charts. The name of the channel is All in the Charts. It really is all in the charts. But the fundamentals are still so interesting that sometimes I can't help myself but to kind of veer off and at least take a moment to talk about what's going on. I think most people are just way too busy with life to really delve in and understand kind of the ins and outs of what's taking place. But essentially, there have been a lot of banks who have built up their assets in a way that they were invested in risky bonds that were assuming long-term interest rates to be flat. Okay, the thing you need to understand is that interest rates were artificially low at 0%. When history says that's never been the case, they've been artificially low for an extended period of time. And the scenario that has occurred is the Federal Reserve has increased interest rates at the highest rate of appreciation historically ever. Okay, it's the fastest, going from 0 all the way up to 5%. Now, what does that mean? Again, just want to dummy it down, quite frankly, for all of us, because I'm not an economist, but I at least can explain this in a somewhat logical way, in layman's terms, that hopefully everyone here can understand. So you had an interest rate environment where we shot up from 0 to 5, right? And based on these banks, the assets that they were holding, that created a lot of losses on their balance sheets. And there's a lot of banks that are in this situation, okay? So you have to ask yourself a question, right? You have to ask yourself a question. And don't even get me into stress testing. I am an actuary by trade. Doing scenario analysis and stress testing is at the core of what a lot of actuaries like myself do. So I listen to a lot of different podcasts out there. A lot of people, I'll give you one name, Peter Schiff. And as much as I joke about Peter on this channel, and I even coined one of my friends who, I don't even call him by his first name anymore. He is Mini Schiff. But as much as I poke fun at Peter Schiff because of his view on Bitcoin and his rather why he has that view is rather obvious. He's a very intelligent individual, and I really agree with a lot of his trains of thought on things. But one of the things he pointed out was that apparently a lot of the stress testing that banks have undertook over the years, you're supposed to, as a bank, think about it, if your role is to, really the role of a bank is to create credit in the system, but these things need to be solvent, okay? These institutions need to be solvent, right? Your bank needs to be solvent. That's a basic principle that you would assume would be the case, right? So in order to remain solvent, or in order to validate that you would remain solvent under different economic scenarios moving forward, you can do things called scenario testing, stress testing the bank, right? Under different economic conditions, how does your bank's balance sheet look? Okay, pretty basic, right? Under different economic conditions, how does your balance sheet look? Well, apparently there were, and I'm just going based off of Peter Schiff's podcast, so I haven't fact-checked anything, but apparently a lot of these stress tests for the banks were not set up in a fashion where they considered a scenario where the bank's assets were under a higher interest rate environment. And actually, if you go back in history, the interest rate environment we're in today is not actually historically high. It's not. It's just we've been artificially low for an extended period of time. But apparently none of these scenarios accounted for the fact that the Fed was going to come in and increase interest rates from 0 to 5% in a matter of 12 months, okay? So one of the things I had pointed out, okay, if you've been paying particular attention to my content on YouTube as well as Twitter, I know I've said this on YouTube many times on my channel, okay, when we were still doing the Bitcoin Crypto Happy Hour, I believe. I said you can't expect there to not be unintended consequences by having interest rates artificially low at 0% for an extended period of time and then drastically ramping up your interest rates. There's going to be unintended consequences, right? It's the same thing that I've said in a similar fashion, that it blows my mind that the Federal Reserve is trying to curb inflation by increasing interest rates at the rate at which they are. And they quote things like employment rates and all these things that are lagging indicators in the economy. Increasing your interest rates in this fashion, at this rapid of a rate, there's a lag upon recognition. Things aren't materialized in the market immediately. Right? There's a lag in recognition until these things show up. People, thumbs up, please. For the love of God, will you please hit the thumbs up button? Yes, and so one of the unintended consequences, although it should have been rather obvious to anyone who had line of sight on what was going on, is the banks are basically up shit's creek, okay? And all this is going to lead to, there's a couple things this will lead to. One is industry consolidation. Industry consolidation is inevitable in any industry. But in this case, it's a little scary if you start getting rid of all your local and regional banks, right? And all you have are these huge institutions like JP Morgan. It's a little bit of a scary thought for many different reasons. But the other thing that YC is getting into, YC, you didn't think I was going to go on this much of a tangent, right? Now, after this last point, we are going to get back to the chart. So let me know if you guys have any charting questions. But the other thing to keep in mind is, what do you think? Okay, just ask yourself this question. What do you think the Federal Reserve and the government will do? And thank you for the support, everyone. I see that. When banks start failing and there's a credit crunch, okay? If you know what the repo market is, okay, the repo market essentially is the environment that operates behind the scenes that allows different banks to lend to one another. I don't know if you're aware of this. We're going to get into this in a future fundamental video I've spoken about, but your bank only holds, a lot of banks only hold 5% of what, in total, of what everyone deposits, okay? Credit creation in the system is what makes the United States go round. It's what makes the world go round, okay? So when you look in your checking account and you see you have $1,000, they're not holding that $1,000. 95% of that or more is being lent out, okay? So I want you to ask yourself, when banks start going insolvent and there's a credit crunch behind the scenes in the repo market because big banks don't want to lend to other banks, there's sort of like at a standstill. It's like in the old Western movies where, you know, you got the two guys, the cowboys with the guns, right? And they're just staring at each other and just waiting for the other person to make a move. This is the type of situation. Let me just check this real quick. Sorry, I have, remember that Instacart order was coming. And sorry, everybody. Just to make sure everything's cool here. Okay, they're going to be here soon. But the whole point is when this happens, okay, do you think that the Federal Reserve and the government will sit back and they'll kind of let the chips fall where they may, okay? It will wreak havoc on the economy, on everything. We will enter a massive correction in the market. It'll be a huge hit to the market to have something like that happen. All these banks and financial institutions failing, credit crunches, massive unemployment rates. As a result, your 401k looks like shit. Now, do you think they'll let that happen? Or do you think they're going to look at their golden ticket? What's their golden ticket? Their golden ticket is they have an infinite supply. I don't have any sitting around. They have an infinite supply of dollar bills. I mean, imagine if you were in a credit crunch and you looked at your credit card bill and it was like $10,000 and you had to pay $10,000 off, or, you know, you were going to go to jail, right? Well, imagine if you could just go on your computer and type $10,000 and then it would just print out for you. That's what essentially that's what the United States government has the capability to do. They can inflate the dollar to zero by printing as many dollars as they want. So when faced with the circumstances of the first scenario where I said it's utter chaos and you're going to see something comparable to the Great Depression, or they could just print a lot of dollars, inject it into the credit market, prop it up, and bail out the banks because there's no other word for it. Which option do you think they're going to do, right? Now, when they do this, the reason that I'm getting back to YC's message here is this will lead to inflation, but when the thing you have to understand is when there's a signal, when there's something that is announced or something that is just publicly well known and people are going about it with different words. Janet Yellen can use whatever words she wants. Jerome Powell can try to do the best he can, but he can't solve the current situation by far. It's been created by generations, but when you get that signal, that is a huge buy signal to the markets, okay? When all that quantitative easing starts to hit the markets, all quantitative easing is credit creation, printing of dollars. That's all it is. They just use fancy words. I mean, that's all it literally is. That's going to be a huge vote of confidence for the market that good old the federal government and the Federal Reserve and the government are always going to come in to save the day. Hold on one moment. Sorry about that, guys. I am going to have to get that when this shopper gets here, so I apologize for the interruption. Like I said, they were running late. Point is once all this quantitative easing comes back into the market, it's going to be a huge buy signal to the equity markets and to crypto. So something to keep an eye on. Let's get off this chart. Does anybody have any charting questions? CIS has a layer 2 rollout. How's the chart look? All right, let's take a look. I'm glad you're asking the question because I didn't have anything specific that we were going to cover today, to be honest. All right, here is Syscoin. Now, Syscoin is one of these OG coins. This coin has been around for a long time. Haven't charted this one in a long time. You can see, now I want to point something out on this chart, okay? This is a 2-week chart. You can see we go back since 2016. Now, I have this upward line of support here, right? You can see we broke it here. I want to level set the conversation and say this, and if you see anyone not acknowledge such, you need to question their charting capabilities or their common sense, quite frankly. It would be a near impossibility for price to do this until the end of time, okay? Just consider that. I mean, doesn't that intuitively make sense? It seems kind of like common sense, right? Because that would imply by the year 2030, the minimum price in Syscoin is going to be like, $1,000, all right? Case in point, really. I mean, you would just keep going like this through time. Look, Sys will be a $300 coin by 2029, right? This is a linear line, and what this is saying, in simple terms, is this line assumes that you'll get a linear rate of return over time. That's impossible with any asset, okay? So common sense, this trend line was going to break. We can certainly take this out. But the question is, how does the health of the chart look? This is on a 2-week chart, very high time frame. I think I might go to a weekly because I'm looking at that MACD. I want to see if we've gotten above 0. So price indicators, looking at the MACD first. The MACD. We are almost above the 0 trigger line here. Blue is above orange, which is good. So we just need a little bit of momentum to pick up in the market because you can see the histogram is going into this light fading green. So we need some momentum to pick up. RSI, what level are we at on the RSI? 45, so we're still a little oversold. Have plenty of room to run to the upside. Stochastic RSI is crossing down. It's below 20. We need a little bit of momentum to come back up into this chart, but nothing uncommon relative to other charts that we've evaluated here, and that is Instacart. So I will be back in a moment. I apologize. So we looked over the price indicators. We're going to take a look at the price data and look at areas of price confluence, support and resistance in a minute. You know who your true supporters in life are? Your true supporters. The ones that sit here on a live stream at a blank screen waiting for me to come back. Thank you for everyone sticking around and being patient. That was actually quicker than what I was anticipating because sometimes I like the Malbec from Costco. I got a Malbec, 2 bottles actually of their Malbec, and they had to use my ID, obviously, and they always had problems scanning it, but it went through seamlessly. Now, we covered the price indicators on Syscoin, ticker symbol SYS. What I want to cover now, what I want to cover now is The price confluence. Where's their areas of resistance and support? Now, I had this built out on a 2-week chart. I want to get a little bit more granular, take a look at the view on the weekly. Let's take a look at some areas of support first. Where do we want price to ideally not close below? Now, again, this is crypto. You're going to have a lot of volatility. This is as volatile as it gets outside of penny stocks, okay? So we don't care if the price wicks below here because wicks are an expression of what? Volatility. So what we don't want is we don't want candle closes to go roughly below this line here, which is at 13 cents. Where are we sitting? 14.5. We could still move down. We could still close 10% lower than where we're at. I'm not concerned. Let's hold 13 cents, all right? Now, next areas of resistance. Well, looks like we have a range, really, what I would draw. You can see here. Yeah, there's really a range of resistance. I'm going to call it, you don't have to get so damn cute with these numbers. So there's really a range of resistance right around, we're going to call it close to 19 cents. 19 to 21 cents, there's really this band of resistance. Once we start getting candle body closes above 21 cents, also looks, yeah, there's definitely an area right here too, no doubt. We wicked up here several times. There were wicks here. I really want to get above 25 cents, okay? We're going to have a little bit of a problem. We're going to have a little bit of a problem clearing this 18 to 21 cent area. If we start getting candle body closes above 21 cents, and especially the 25 cent area, now momentum is really beginning to pick up in this thing. You can see we had this. Now, I will say, the formation in this chart, and I remember coming to this conclusion before, this whole rounding bottom here, okay? You see this whole thing? The top here in 2017-18, and then the rounding bottom, and then the move up here. Really, it's up here. And we essentially double topped, a little higher than the double top. I was going to say, this reminds me of what project do you think, the way this is set up? Digibyte, actually, this chart here. Now, Digibyte has additional years of price data, but still very much reminds me of Digibyte. Great question. Let's see, guys, keep the questions coming. I still got time. Also, I mean, we can certainly end the stream early. And tomorrow, I wanted to say, we'll take a look at artificial liquid intelligence. I saw it was popping today. We just covered a formation yesterday. I'm going to talk about that. If you are international, okay, you're not located in the United States, I know I have a lot of people in different time zones. I have good news for you potentially. There is a very high probability, spoken like a true actuary, there's a very high probability that I will be live streaming tomorrow morning at an extremely early time. Again, it's Friday. I want to go out Friday. I don't want to be here charting at 5 o'clock. I love you guys, but I really don't want to be doing that. So it's either, you know, chart in the afternoon or chart in the morning. And I've spoken about this live streaming early in the AM. Now, the benefit to you, okay, the benefit is if you don't get up at CBG time, and if you do get up at CBG time, well, I mean, I still get into the gym early. I was going to say you should be in the gym or getting ready for the gym. Get that shit out of the way early in the day. You don't want to hanging around till the end of the day. I was going to say the good thing for you, though, is you don't need to watch it live. I mean, you can watch it in syndication at 9 o'clock when the market's open. You can watch it at noon just to get a feel for how things are looking, at least at the start of the day. Now, this is crypto, okay? 12 o'clock in the afternoon can look a lot different than 5 o'clock in the morning. But I will tell you, some of the most exciting times that I have had charting have been early in the morning. I mean, a lot of times you can get some Asian markets are open. You can get a lot of good volatility coming in. So, you know, from time to time, I might do some of these live streams at 5 o'clock in the morning before I go work out. It's a great time, really, to take a look at things. So keep an eye on that for tomorrow. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take a look at Alethea AI, Artificial Liquid Intelligence, ticker symbol ALI. Now, you know, yesterday what we were looking at was a Heikin-Ashi falling wedge here. Okay, now this is roughly the technical target. The way you draw the technical target, okay, you go from the bottom all the way at the top here, the bottom of the base all the way up to the top, and then you take that same length and you put it at the point of the breakout. So if the breakout's here, you put it here. If it's down here, you put it here, right? So assuming we are breaking out right now, if we change this back to a daily and a normal candlestick chart, you can see this is still a falling wedge. I mean, technically it's invalid the way it's drawn on the daily up here because it's going through this body, but close enough for the purposes of this conversation. So you got a falling wedge going on, and if we really are having a breakout right now, if this holds, okay, this to me, if this closes today anywhere up in this area of 2.8 to 2.9 cents, to me that is a confirmation that this is a breakout of the falling wedge. Now, the way we get confirmation, what happens when we break descending resistance? This comes up every single live stream, so I hope at this point you've learned something. Quite often, we like to come back down and backtest this prior area of resistance as support, right? And then we continue moving up. But the point is, if this candlestick holds anywhere close to where it is today, the technical breakout target would be over 5 cents. Now, that's not saying that's it. That's the end of the end of the line for ALI. I think ALI is going to go significantly higher this bull run. I mean, I made a video on it for a reason, okay? I think given the narrative in crypto AI, what they're going at, read a little bit about the project and Noah's Ark, what they're going at, I think this thing has the potential to really make a strong move over the course of the next. I mean, if the market really is topping this year, as I believe it's going to, you're going to have your altcoins topping after Bitcoin, so this thing could top, November, December, January, February, somewhere along those lines. But I'm looking for a big move here. So this could be the start of our trend reversal up now that we've been consolidating in this falling wedge. What else can we take a look at, given there's no questions? Any other big movers to the up or downside that are at least interesting? Let's go to here. Ren LRC. Yeah, you want to talk about, guys, I like, of course, it's good advertising, right? I like sharing with you all the good calls that I have, right? I mean, I love to bring those to your attention, but I feel like I also call myself out quite often and say, hey, I didn't do a good job with this, or I get things wrong. Sushi has been one of the most disappointing projects that I've gotten involved with. I mean, the price, let's take a look at it real quick. Very disappointed with Sushi's price performance overall. Yep. I would say it's been one of my worst calls. I would say Sushi has definitely been one of my worst calls. We'll have to see if it makes up for it this bull cycle, but okay, so I mean, this is good to see that the bullish divergence is still present. Price is going sideways. It's just going like this, and momentum is building in the price. So this actually, it's interesting. I'm charting this right now, actually. This looks like a good, at least good trade setup. Okay. Well, this doesn't take away from the fact that it still was a bad call on my part when I was saying, oh, it's a great buy opportunity up here in like the $7 level and $5 level. Clearly, I mean, I had the problem, root of that problem is, and I've commented such, hindsight's 2020, right? That expanded flat correction, a fourth wave in the Elliott cycle, really faked me out. Really got me. So, this goes along with it, but this does look like a decent trade setup. And why do I say that? Price is consolidating. It's just going sideways. It's all we're doing is ranging between, 95 cents and basically $1.80, $1.90. But the RSI is increasing in value. And in layman's terms, what that's telling you is momentum and strength is building up. It's like you take a soda bottle and just begin to shake it up, right? Doesn't guarantee a breakout to the upside, but it certainly is a nice green flag in this case. Not a red flag, a green flag. It'll be interesting to see what Sushi Swap does this cycle, because I would have honestly hoped for a better price recovery, something up north, up in this region up here. But yeah, not so far. What else we have going on? Got a question coming in. Pivx. I'm not familiar. Let's take a look at this project. So I got a question on Pivx. Okay, 616, so not astronomically. How much price data does it have? Ooh, Wow, you're pointing out an older generation coin. I appreciate this. I'm not familiar with this project. Good call. All right, what markets are we on? Oh, we got it on Binance. Oh, well, that's interesting. All right, let's load a blank chart and let's chart away. Ooh, what the hell's going on here? This is the blank chart. Oh, because I was charting Casper on a different time frame. I'm like, why the hell is Casper open in here? I've charted that plenty of times, and I have safe charts, multiple safe charts. Let's do... Yeah, I want to do USD. It gets too confusing if you start looking at it by Bitcoin relativity. A lot of people struggle with that, no matter how many times you explain it. All right, so this is on a 12-hour. Clearly, I don't want to take a look at that. Good question. So we got some great... and you can tell, we actually charted this one before. So Matthew, maybe have you asked about this chart before? Because interestingly enough, you can see... So what happens here is when I pull up a blank chart and I pull up a crypto project that you guys have a question on, if I've done analysis on it in the past, it actually saves that data in the background. That's why all this stuff is populated. So you can see I've already had this thing charted out. This is on a 2-week. I think we can keep it on a 2-week. Let's see what we got. Stochastic RSI is curling down, still above 20, so I just want to see it curl back up. We got RSI building. You see how the RSI is increasing. It's not bullish divergence, though, because the price isn't declining. The RSI so the strength is building and the price is moving up. And let's take a look at the MACD. Oh, we already had a... Oh, wow, we already had a cross up here positive. MACD has a lot of strength, especially for a 2-week chart. I like to see that. So I'm seeing a lot of positive signs here. See all-time high up here. Oh, 67 bucks. Oh, wow. There's your definition of volatility. Jesus, look at this candlestick real quick before we get to current price action. This is a 2-week chart, right? Price opened, okay, this candlestick here when we created an all-time high. Price opened at $11. It went all the way up to 66 and closed at 6. We opened at 11. We went up to $66 and closed at 6. Or, excuse me. We closed at 9. I apologize. The low was 6. I apologize. A lot of 6s in there. You know, 6 is the mark. 3 6s is the mark of the beast. I don't know. No bueno. This candlestick here, this opened at 986. Which was basically its high, and it went as low as 17 cents. I want you to think about that oh my God, definition of volatility. Look at the story that was created here. We opened at 10 bucks, we went as low as 17 cents, but then we recovered in price and closed at $5.36. That is crazy. Wow, I haven't seen that level of volatility in a chart in a while. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on here. What I like to see is strength building in the price. The MACD is above 0. It's positive. And price right now is coiled up in here. It's sort of like an ascending triangle in many ways. There's a flat top base here. Excuse me, a flat top. And then an ascending line going up and price is curling. And it's sort of like an ascending triangle. I'm sure you can see that if you're familiar with the pattern. I like this trade setup. I will say that. I have no affiliation with the project or no love or desire. Love or desire. Wow, maybe I'm missing some love and desire in my life. I don't know why the hell that came out of my mouth. I don't have any recognition of this project. I don't have any awareness. Okay, let's get back to the charts. I'm going off on a tangent here. I don't know where the heck my head is at. Now, there's a main level of resistance at around 51 cents. Okay, we really need to break through 51 cents. The struggle for price that I see right now is this zone right here. And the reason is because, first off, there are two major areas of price confluence which are now resistance because price is below it. It's at 51 cents and $1.13. You also have this descending line. Okay, so you got 3 areas of price confluence. And that's not to mention the fact that I bet if we flip on the moving averages, Yeah, we don't have a 200 on the, because this is a 2-week. Yeah, it's not enough price data. Well, you can at least see the 50 simple moving average. I bet you if we go to a weekly, are we below the 200 or above? We're probably above the 200, but below the 50. No, we're below both. So you can see on a weekly, okay, check this out. Who asked this question? This was Matthew. Great. Oh, you did ask before. Okay, awesome. So when we go to a weekly, this gives you a deeper level of appreciation for how much resistance we're going to have. We have 4 areas of price confluence, Matthew. We have the 200 simple moving average, the pink line on the weekly, okay? That's sitting at 45 cents right now. It's going to keep continuing to move and print as price develops here. Then we have 51 cents descending area resistance and 113. So quite a bit of resistance to move through. But, I mean, I really like this view on the 2-week. If we real quick take a look at the month, though. Stochastic RSI looks good. RSI looks fine. Still oversold. Momentum's starting to pick up on the monthly. Okay, this is on the monthly. So I think this, for me, again, I'm not familiar with the project, but from a trade setup perspective, it looks like a great trade setup. So those are the areas to focus on. I hope you found that helpful. Why is this heart? So on the comments here, like I can put, yeah, I can do this, but it blocks part of the comments and I can't read. Hope you're doing well, CBG. Been busy with finals last few weeks. Ooh, finals. So you're in college. Okay. I've been doing really well, hanging in there. Nothing too crazy to report. You got finals. So I didn't realize you were in college. Do you mind sharing, I don't want to do locations because that stuff is private, but do you mind sharing what subject you're majoring in, like what your career aspirations are? I'd be very curious if you're willing to share that. I am all about education. Glad to hear that, Matthew. I am all about education and furthering yourself. I think you need to get out in the world and make something for yourself. I mean, I understand I've shared viewpoints on this before that people were meant to be with people and all. I'm not trying to get all, but like we all need each other and you need support from people, but you got to go out there and be self-sufficient too, right? You got to go out there and take God's gifts. Don't want to get too deeper. Take God's gifts and like do something with it, do something with your life. So I think it's great that you're getting an education here. Electrical engineering. FAU, huh? FAU. All right. Maybe I know who you are. Electrical engineer. Wow. It's funny you say that. So I will share a personal story with you. And that is, I had shared with you that this pipe right here, there are some things that are invaluable in life, meaning you couldn't put a price tag on it. So this pipe was my grandfather's, my late grandfather. He was my last surviving grandparent. And, always had a special connection with both my grandmother and grandfather, especially on my mom's side, And my grandfather, keeps messing up. There we go. My grandfather, here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Photo got a little damaged. I want to see if I can get it fixed. My grandfather is in this photo. This is a black and white photo. From June of 1954, ladies and gentlemen. June of 1954. I was negative 500 years old. This is, let me see if I can get that up there. Right there, okay? And this was taken at MedEd. Okay, MedEd was back in the day a place, electrical engineering place, company, and he worked as an electrical engineer. So as soon as you said you were an electrical engineer, that's the first thing I thought of. So that's my personal story. All right, everybody hang in there. I am going to be live tomorrow morning at an ungodly hour on the East Coast. So look out for that. If you're up, have a cup of coffee with me. I may not be as chipper, May not be as chipper, but we'll see how it goes. You know, it depends how many cups of coffee deep I am. But I have the flexibility tomorrow morning. I should be able to do that before I go work out. So we'll assess how the market's looking tomorrow morning. Everybody have a good evening. Share this with at least one person. Thank you for showing up. And until next time, spread awareness and carry the education forward.